Awesome. Hello and welcome to the John's session at MBA Spotlight. My name is Faiza Taj and I'm your host. It is also my pleasure to present to you uh, Connie Zingaroli, Director of John's Admissions, if I pronounce it correctly. We will begin with a quick overview of the full-time MBA program and critical information you need to know to be successful in your application. After the brief presentation, we will open it up for questions and answers, and we'll take as many questions as possible. For everyone in the audience, we have a great way for you to engage and post your questions. On the right, on your screen on the right, there is a tab that has a Q&A bubbles. That's a perfect place for you to post any question you have for Connie and also upvote questions you want answers. I will be picking the most upvoted questions from the Q&A tab, and make sure please to use the QA tab and not the chat for posting your questions. And now I will turn it over to Connie. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to having you here.
Great. Thank you all for having me. I really enjoy being at these sessions. So as Faiza said, I am Connie Zingarelli, Executive Director of Admissions here at Rice Business. We're located in Houston, Texas, in the United States. So I know that we tend to have a global audience here. So thank you all for joining. I know that for some of you, it is the evening or getting to be the later evening. So I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. I do have some just information I want to go over with you, just a little bit about Rice. I will do this quickly, and the reason is I really want to hear your questions, and much of what I'm going to share with you can really be found on our website. But again, I do like to highlight some things so you understand who we are and a little bit more about our program. So again, I think one of the things you'll get into as you start to look at all of these great schools that are available is that every school is recognized for something. And so Rice is no exception. We are ranked among the top universities in the United States. With that, each of our individual schools and colleges, as well as our programs, are recognized. So, the MBA has been recognized as top 25 by US News. And one of the ones I actually think that is so much fun is the top 10 business schools to watch by Poets and Quants. As you know, they are just an incredible resource about everything graduate management education wise. And so I just think that that's so much fun to be a part of that. And they really consider us a school on the rise and a school that's worth looking at all the time. Recently, yesterday, we learned we were number one again for entrepreneurship by Princeton Review. So that would be 6 years in a row. And an exciting time. If you're into entrepreneurship, we have a lot of later stage entrepreneurs that come to our program. Rice is a great place to be, huge entrepreneurship ecosystem here. A little bit about the backdrop of Houston, just because I think it's important. It is the fourth largest city in the US, the fastest growing city in the US, but also the most diverse city in the US. So what that means is that our community is global, our community is diverse, our community is inclusive. We are located very close to, so you can see the first building in the picture is part of main campus, and right behind that is the backdrop of the Med Center leading to downtown. So we are very, very close to all the companies you might be interested in working for, and we are number 2 in the US for having the most Fortune 500 headquarters here. So Houston, as you'll learn, is a little bit lower cost of living than some of the other major cities in the US. And I think that's another reason it becomes real popular for our full-time MBA students, because again, you're not working while you go to school. And so you've got to figure out, how are you going to afford living, but also going to school as well. And so Houston is a great place to do that. Again, we are a very global school too. So even though we are located in the US, we are incredibly global. We do have a campus in Paris, France, and our alumni are all over the world. And our students come from all over the world. So about 40% of our full-time MBA population are students from outside the US. That's something that's very important to us, so we can really maintain some global diversity in the school and the program. We have many partners we work with, and you may get to know some of these as you're kind of going through your process. But again, you will see us on the road traveling with Consortium and Forte and MLT and Ramba and some of the others. So just keep your eyes out. We are out there working with our partners, trying to meet great candidates who will be a great fit for Rice. We have many programs. So today we are going to focus solely on our full-time MBA program, but we do offer a variety of programs here at the school. And you can see kind of some of the differences here between, the years of work experience and what is sort of required in these programs. So, our full-time population, those students tend to be a little earlier in the career, whereas our students that are in our working professional and or executive program, they tend to be at a bit later stage in the career. Often our full-time students are trying to make some type of a career shift or switch. Some come in and still want to accelerate. Some are obviously coming in with entrepreneurship on their minds. But again, the students in general in the full-time program are looking for a major career shift. I guess the important thing to mention is that your classes are on campus in person Monday through Thursday. So it would be not possible to work full-time and go to school in the full-time program. If you are thinking about working at all part-time or keeping your professional job, I would consider looking at one of our other professional programs. But again, if you're located outside the US, there's some visa requirements there. So we'd have to talk to you about that one-on-one. Just a little bit about the class profile. So on average, our class size for the full-time program is about 160 to 180 students. So not as small as some schools out there, not as big as some schools that are out there. But again, a good enough size where I feel like you have a variety of who's in your classroom, but yet you still get to know folks and you still have a chance to really participate. We have a lot of student clubs and organizations. We want our students to be active in, we want you to participate in your class discussions. And with a class of this size, that's really possible to do. Again, all the things are expected for your MBA application relative to your GMAT or GRE, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But as far as the program schedule, and I do like to go over this just because we are a little bit different than some of the other schools out there. So in your first year, you are doing all of your core curriculum. You'll definitely see that at a lot of schools. You do start to do some light elective coursework in spring of your first year. And then when that ends, you move right into your global field experience. Now that is a live project for a real company. And so you will spend part of your spring doing work with your team on that. And then when you go to the actual global field experience, I will tell you we're highlighting South America in recent years. So just so you kind of know that ahead of time, you will be traveling with your team to the country that has been selected in presenting to the company you've been working on and working for the past couple months. So it is a really live type. Think of it like a live consulting project. So you will get some experience there and some ability to put to practice the new skills that you are learning. And we do it in a global setting. When you come back from that, the first year students are required to participate in their summer internship, which is their choice, right? Their selection. If say you're interested in going into, consulting or IB, you would have been working all year long to try and get one of those internships. And that's where you would head off to for your summer. I think the main goal for most first year students is, once they have the internship, is to get the return offer, particularly if they like what they were doing. Some students, I'll be very honest, they don't end up liking it. And then they come back and they kind of start their process all over again. And that's completely fine. This is meant to be exploratory. This is meant to be experiential. We really want to help you get to where you're looking to go. And the internship is a good way to try that out. The really cool thing about Rice's full-time program is that in your second year, it is completely made up of elective coursework, meaning you choose the classes you want to take. You are choosing your own schedule. And so your second year looks often a little bit different than your first. And I think the choice and the size of the choice that you're able to make is really appealing to our students. Also during that time, we are expecting and anticipating you would be leading clubs. participating in extracurricular activities, and really helping to, make the community thrive for all of our MBA students. So I wanted to spend a little bit more time on that. I'll still go very quickly on everything else, but I just really wanted to make sure you understood the structure of the program. We are STEM designated. I know that is important for many of our students, but we do only start once a year in August. Okay, so August is it. Every application we're looking at right now is for an early August start. And then, of course, the total degree program is 60 credit hours. Okay, so just so you kind of get the nuts and bolts there. This kind of gives you the quick overview of the curriculum. A lot of students ask me like, hey, what are the classes? It's all the things in the core curriculum you're expecting to find in an MBA, okay? Accounting, economics, strategy. One of the things we do at Rice is we layer in a couple data analysis courses. I think that's something that's really important today, no matter what industry you are working in, right? There's actually probably an overabundance of data, right? Like, and how much can you work with it? And so we do kind of really get into that. We think it's important. We added that into the program a couple years ago. And then, of course, you can see in your spring of year one, we're going to continue on with accounting because there's no end to that, right? Accounting is often the language of business. And of course, adding in some more strategy and operations and letting you get into your electives. So just so you see how that works. And then, of course, as I promised, you have your global field experience and your summer internship. And then finally in year two, all of your electives that you are choosing. So we have specializations. You don't have to pick one. But accounting, energy, entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, real estate, etc. So really whatever is interesting to you, we think you will find it here. But again, take a look at all of this. It's a really great way to go through your program. I would be remiss to not mention all of our professional associations and student clubs and organizations and our affinity clubs, because there are so many. So I think from the professional side, of course, consulting association, healthcare association, marketing association, right? So that's where you're going to identify with your colleagues and peers that are interested in the same type of professional outcomes that you are. You will have a chance then to really interact with our alumni in those spaces and then really learn like what's the process, right? So the consulting club, for example, does a lot on how do you case interview? How do you reach out to folks in this industry and start to have those conversations? On the other side, we have a full range of social clubs and organizations, as you can see here. Everything from like the beer club to the golf club to the Rice Paws Club. And those are for students that are interested in animals and they want to volunteer at various shelters around the city. So again, there's something for everybody. And really for us, we are hoping that you find a fit within one of these groups. And then of course, our diversity associations and student affinity clubs. So, Black Business Student Association, Latin Business Student Association, Out and Allied, Men as Allies, Rice Business Veterans. So there's just so much to choose from and engage with. And again, if you feel a need for a new club, students have the ability to create them. So again, we really let our students kind of, drive the experience here. I just want to mention really quickly, there's a couple experiential learning opportunities. And that's really where our Women in Leadership Conference, also known as WILC, very, very popular, but completely student-led. A lot of it has to do with putting it together. It's a 1-day-a-year conference. Tremendous speakers that are coming from all across industries and high-level executive positions. But again, really trying to look at the differences that women go through as they're trying to climb in their careers. But again, all of these organizations here are ways for you to be involved, ways for you to get experience if you need a little more experience, ways for you to grow. And that's really what we're trying to provide. For our students interested in entrepreneurship, there's kind of like no end to the opportunities. Just some among these here are the Rice Business Plan Competition, the Veterans Business Battle. The Lilly Lab is just a wonderful place to engage and interact, find some mentorship and other folks that are interested in entrepreneurship as well. Career development, of course, is very much a big part of you going to an MBA program. So, definitely check out what schools are doing related to this topic. I can tell you with us, it starts right away. So right when you begin launch with the program, you're going to start meeting with your advisor. And we want you to meet with them kind of early and often. We do everything from trips to New York for a week on Wall Street, to various tech treks around the country, obviously an energy and health trek in Houston. But again, you can see our students are going everywhere. We tend to have a reputation as a consulting and finance school. You can kind of see that based on where our students are selecting to go, but our students are going everywhere as well. And so, we have it all here. Houston has it all. And what ends up happening often is a lot of people don't want to leave. So just to put that out there now. Again, these are just, a sample of the companies that are coming to see us in a year. And they recruit with us. This is where our alumni are. But again, just a sample of who's been here in the last year and a half or so, and who continues to join us this year. All right, real quick, just about the application. So everything you do with the application is online, okay? We do require an online app, a resume or CV, copy of your transcripts, mark sheets, and diploma, GRE or GMAT. There are some essays. We want to learn some things about you. So you got to participate in the essay part. And then of course, a letter of recommendation. And then we do an interview component. So there's a video interview component that is a one-way. And then we do a live virtual interview if you are invited to that. So that is by invitation only. But again, there's many parts to this. And so I would say you're in great shape because right now we're heading into round 2. Some of you may have already applied to round 1, and those decisions are under review and they will be out very soon. But round 2 is January 6th. And so for those of you that are looking at that right now, so you can see the next one would be January 6th, and then decisions will start to roll in March. And I think one thing to pay attention to is we do have a GMAT waiver you can request, but you can see that there's a deadline associated with it. I'll be honest, with finance, investment banking, and consulting, it is advisable to have a test score. They do want to know it most of the time. And so I really would not encourage you, if you're thinking about those industries, I would not encourage seeking a waiver, although you might qualify for a waiver. Again, we offer scholarships at the time of admission. So we're looking at the complete application package. And, for applications that don't have a test score, that's going to limit us on some of the scholarship funding. So I just want to be real honest with you about sort of how that goes. And you are welcome to set up a one-on-one consulting with any one of our admissions advisors at any time. And again, you can always email us at ricemba@rice.edu. And now I want to turn and take the questions because I'm sure there will be a lot. I see some notes in the chat, but I'm going to let Faza give me the go ahead on that.
Thank you so much. It was really helpful, and I'm sure that everyone enjoyed the session, the presentation, and it's interesting to know that Rice University is more focused on entrepreneurship, which is, at least for me, it's very interesting. Would you mind putting your email, the Rice MBA? I can write it
in
down
the chat.
Yeah, actually, I can add a banner here so people can have access.
I dropped it in the chat, so if folks need it, they can.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's monitored by everybody in our office about 6 days a week. So,
even if they want to reach out to you, you also have the access to this email, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. So we are going to ask the questions because we are a little short on time. Okay. Someone from India asked about the age. 35 plus age.
Yeah, don't think about it as a negative in a profile. We're looking at the entire application. So we want to understand, right? Like what we'd want to understand is sort of why, right? If you have 12 years of experience, you've probably advanced in multiple career levels at this point, like why an MBA and why now? And that's the thing I'd recommend including in the application. There's an optional essay and you can talk a little bit more about that.
So it's not a bad thing. They just need to explain it on their.
We don't admit people based on age. We're admitting based on qualifications and ability to perform
Awesome.
and succeed in the program. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
answering this question. And let me. Someone asked, applies 2 years back with GMAT waiver but did not get selected. What could be the reasons? As I want to apply this year with improvements.
I would reapply with the test score.
Awesome. And most of the people are asking about the application fee waiver, whether they get it by attending this event or not.
They do. Yes. Yeah. I
Awesome.
would just need the list of who attended so I could attach that to the file.
Awesome. Thank you. Someone asked, I don't have work experience. Can I apply to RISE this year or not?
Well, that's a good question. I would recommend that for most MBA programs, you have a little bit of work experience. Now, some students coming out of undergrad have professional internships that they've done, and that might be a good, substitute if they're intending to go that direction in their career. We also have a deferred MBA program. So if you are a senior in undergrad, you can apply to our program. And then if you are admitted, you would matriculate within 2 to 5 years. So if you're really unsure just about kind of where you stand from a work experience perspective, I would suggest making an appointment with one of our advisors. And you
Awesome.
can schedule that right online.
So by deferred program, so they can be admitted and make sure that they have a spot in the school and then attend later when they graduate.
Yeah,
Do they
it's
need to
intended
pay
for
a
college
deposit for that?
seniors. Yeah. Say that one more
Do they
time.
need to pay a deposit for that?
They do. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
The next question is, I just received my CFA charter and plan to apply for a GMAT waiver. Will this impact my chances of getting scholarships?
So it's a great question. So all students are considered for scholarships at the time of admission. Sometimes it really depends on a waiver. We have very few full scholarships that we offer. Really, our scholarships are, what I would call them is partial merit based, but we are generous and we're known to be generous as a school if you start to check the chat boards. So again, it may, but again, I need to see the entire application package to really answer that question fully. But I would say, many to the majority of candidates will receive some form of scholarship at the time of admission, particularly for the full-time program.
Awesome. So there is a chance that very few people get full scholarship, including tuition fee waiver and a stipend?
We do not offer stipends. We do not offer stipends. That's also known as a graduate assistantship. We're a private university, so we do not have that type of a program. You would tend to find that in more of the public research universities in the United States. So I can name other schools, but I'll let them handle that with you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I ask this kind of questions because I'm also applying for the MBA programs, and I have some questions and also people asking here. So I try to combine questions and ask. The next question is from another audience from India. What kind of diversity does Rice University
Possess? Yeah.
Based on the idea that I have architecture background, trying to figure out getting an MBA to boost business?
And so I'm not exactly sure what we're asking here, but I think how I will answer it is that, our students are coming from diverse backgrounds. So they come from all areas of work functions and industries. And so we do have a few students that would come in from that background. But again, the idea being is that you're coming to an MBA to learn the language of business. And how you decide to put that to use is up to you. If it's to improve the business that you already have, build a business you want to continue building, or just completely shift your career, right? It will be up to you to sort of define how you use the MBA.
I think the question was whether you have diversity and you choose different students based on the different background, or you are more focused on finance or entrepreneurship.
No, I mean, we're focused on ability to succeed in the program, and that's going to be defined by different attributes, right? So the academic, the professional, and the interpersonal. And, we're trying to measure all of those things throughout our application process, right? I mean, the theory, right? I've been doing this a long time. The theory is that someone that's been successful in their business and or life will find ways to continue to be successful. And so we're really trying to assess that through the application process. And again, I mean, our program, I'm not going to be soft about it. Our program is very quantitative oriented. You can see that in the curriculum when you look at it, right? There is no hiding from finance and accounting and economics and data analysis and operations, right? And that's honestly one of the reasons I really suggest doing the GMAT or GRE, really just so you can freshen your skills and be ready. Because that first semester, finance, accounting, economics, and data analysis, that's a lot. And our students work really hard in semester one.
It can be concluded that students with an engineering background can be really successful at Rice.
Yeah, I mean, they could be, and I would say in any MBA program, right? Like, I think also too, engineers have very technical skills. And sometimes when you're advancing in an engineering pathway, it's often due to technical prowess. But I think what happens with engineers, they reach a certain point and they'd like to go higher. They want to be manager, they want to be a leader, and you need the skills that are provided in an MBA to learn the other attributes, right? You have to learn some of those negotiating skills and those communication skills, and how to see the entire business, not just from the technical side. And that would be for anybody in a technical type role.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yasna from Iran asked a very, very
common mistakes. I love this one.
Yeah, me too. Would you mind answering this question?
Yeah, common mistakes. The most probably common mistake in an application would be identifying the name of another school in your application. So like if you're writing your essay and you're talking about something about how you think Rice is going to help you with your long-term goals, but you indicate the name of another institution, that's probably the most common application mistake I see. I would say the second most common application mistake I see is just folks just not following the directions. And then I would say in the interview part, just like be on time, be professional, be on time, be prepared. That would be my main recommendations for the interview piece. Yeah.
So by on time, you mean that if the deadline is January 6th, you won't...
No. I mean, like if you schedule your interview, you're selected to interview and you schedule it. Our community does the interviews, right? So our student ambassadors will interview. And if you sign up to meet with them at, 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, but where you're dialing in from is, midnight or 1 a.m., you got to know that, right? And then be on time for it.
Awesome.
So
that's a great point. And I have another question from myself. When the deadline is January 6th, does it matter to apply, just submit the application on January 5th or December?
Yeah, we give you time until January 6th at what is 11:59 p.m. Central. So I would use the world clock to determine when that is. I cannot, if an application comes in on January 7th, I cannot turn it back to round 2. You're in round 3. So our system is designed with automated rounds. And so anybody that applies from today until January 6th will be in round 2. That's just how it's set up.
But there is no preference between someone who's applying on, I don't know, December 12th and okay, awesome.
No.
The next question is...
Yeah, we will not start reviewing those applications until January.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was really a question for me. The next question is from another audience from Germany. I have a question about global field program. Will the school help with the visa requirements?
Yeah, so you need a visa to come here. If you're outside the US, you're going to need an F1 visa to come here at all. So what the university provides is your I-20, and you will need the I-20 to get a valid visa appointment in your home country. And so with that, you will be allowed to travel often. I mean, unless there's some strange thing that goes on between your home country and the country we're traveling to, we'll work through that as much as we can. But again, the student is responsible for getting the initial F1 visa.
Awesome. Thank you. And the next question is, how does Rice Jones support its international students during the internship and job seeking phase?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I would be mindful of this because it's been difficult the last, probably, I would say, 8 years. It's probably getting harder, not easier, for international students. I would say that one of the things we we do is that recognizing that, of course, right. I would say two things. I would say students should be coming in with being a little flexible in their mind. So what I mean by that is have a first choice of career, have a second choice of career, but also to be willing at this time. I'd be willing to be flexible on location too, right? Because just because you can't get the position in the US doesn't mean you can't get a position in Europe. And I will say that some companies are still very engaged in this process. There are companies, Experian, for example, EY Parthenon, for example. These are companies that are very desirable to work for, and they're still very engaged in this process in helping to support the people they hire go through this process. What I will tell you has become more difficult is the lottery system for the H-1Bs on the back end. And that's completely government controlled. That has nothing to do with Rice. It has nothing to do with any other school you're going to go to. So, it's been a challenge. It's as much a challenge for us because we want our students to succeed too. But I think just know that you'll have to, probably put a little bit more time in. And our students that have gone through it, they're incredibly willing to talk to you about some of the things that they've done. And the CDO does a great job of helping to make those connections so you kind of know what's ahead of you on that pathway.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question is from India. How do you perceive candidates who have employment gaps or have been impacted by layoffs?
What I would say is talk about that in your optional essay. And just explain it. I mean, we've been looking at resumes and applications for a long time, right? Like things happen in life, and I would just talk about it. So the admissions committee has a sense of, what happened.
Awesome. The next question is, if I've already submitted my application with my current GRE score, but ended up retaking the GRE, can I submit the new score or no?
Yes, I would either try to re-upload it to your application portal, or you can email it to us at ricemba@rice.edu, and whoever takes it in will add it to your file.
Awesome. Another person asked, how does work experience impact the admissions process? Does having a 10 plus years experience affect it negatively? I think you answered this. They should explain in their optional essay.
Listen, I've got students that come with 2 years, and I have students that come with more than 10 years. The average is 5 years, right? And that's just very normal and common in any full-time MBA program. But we do have students that have the full spectrum of work experience.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question is from India. If I switch my career plans and future industry as a reapplicant, how will outcome see it?
So I would say, be as honest in your application as possible. Like, don't just switch your career plans in future industry because you think that's going to help you get into a school. Be honest on your application. What we're trying to understand as an admissions committee is, what is the student's background? Can they be successful in this program? And can we help them, right? If it's something like we can't help you with, right, we're not going to be a good match for you as a school. So, be honest about really what you're interested in and what you want to do. And if you're really unsure and you're curious about how to improve, if you're a reapplicant, I would, set up a time with someone on the team, with Leo or someone in the office who can talk to you a little bit about that.
Awesome. The next one is the MBA program looks amazing, which is, what is the criteria for application fee waiver? I think everyone by attending this event will receive, as long as they apply for the university with the same email that they attend this event.
Yes.
And
yeah. So you whatever email address you used today for GMAT Club, use the same email address in your application. So the fee waiver attaches. We're not going to email you a fee waiver. It just gets automatically attached to your file. The other thing is, like, you can attend any, we have an application overview webinar coming up in early December. If you attend that, you'll get an application fee waiver. So that's what we're looking for. As far as mention ideal profile we seek for an MBA application, honestly, I would say go on the website and look at the averages in the class, but understand that we get averages by having people be above and below those markers. And, for an ideal profile, again, it's going to vary candidate to candidate. And that's the part of you having a diverse classroom that you're immersed in.
Thank you. Mariam from Iran asked, is it possible to send a GMAT score later after the
you actually, you either need a valid test score or an approved waiver to apply. Like, the system is not going to let you submit the application without it.
The next question is about GMAT. I think you answered already.
I did, but I'll say it again. Yes, if you have a GMAT waiver, it does affect your scholarship opportunities. Doesn't mean you won't get a scholarship, but it does limit the amount we are able to give.
Thank you. Another person from India asked, do you accept 3-year bachelor degrees? Mine is from Australia.
Yeah, so it's a good question. So what we do ask for students from outside the US, if you did your schooling outside the US, to go ahead and get that degree evaluated by WES or Spantran or ECE, one of them. Spantran actually changed their name. But yeah, go ahead and get that degree evaluated. I would say the majority of time, a 3-year degree converts. In some countries it won't, but typically if it's an A-rated school in India, it will. Typically, I believe Australia and Canada, it does. But go ahead and have that evaluated. And we're basically looking for the equivalent of a 4-year bachelor.
Awesome. The next question is that Texas is known for its energy sector and gas industries. Does Rice help its MBA cohort to get exposure into that sector, particularly for non-US residents?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We'll give you a ton of exposure to these industries just based on the activities we offer, our location, our alumni. It's my understanding it's been a little challenging in this sector for international applicants, which it's a little bit of a mind bender for me because it's such a global industry. But again, we will give you the exposure. Absolutely. There's no shortage of exposure for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question is about TOEFL. Is there any minimum for this exam?
Okay, so we do not require the TOEFL, not for the MBA. So if you were applying to the PhD, you do need it, but for the MBA, no TOEFL, no English test. We have various attributes of the application that will test that for us along the way. And I would say, for the GRE and for the GMAT, we have averages we like to look at. I would say definitely take a look at our averages on the website and, try to be within range of those averages.
Awesome. The next question is also from India. What are the top industries that Rice MBA graduates work in?
Yeah, our students are most interested, and we talked a little bit about this in the presentation, most interested in probably consulting, finance, and tech. And I would say the data supports that for the last couple of years. And then again, of course, pivoting from a pre-MBA career to a new one, it kind of depends on you. It depends on what have you been doing before and what do you want to get into. So you really have to be able to chart the pathway. Like, what are the skills from the former company, function, industry that you think makes you valuable to a new job, a new function, in a new industry, right? You've got to be able to connect the dots because you've got to tell your story, right? The MBA will help you with some of that because you're going to be learning these new skills and attributes, but you still have to be able to tell your story. So I think about that one too for yourself.
Awesome. And I think this is the last question based on remaining time we have.
Sure.
Are at-home GRE, GMAT given the same weightage as test center-based tests?
Yeah, so we don't evaluate it like that. We're looking at performance, but I will say this, one of the requirements this year is that the student must give us an official test score before we are able to release an admissions decision. And we check everything. So we check if you take the at-home test, there is a photo associated with, we check the photo against your imagery and your ID that you present in the application. So we do the checks, we do all the security checks. And so just be mindful of that, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was really helpful, at least
Yeah,
for me.
absolutely. So much fun. Love this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If we did not cover your question, feel free to stop by the Rice John's booth. I think you have a booth, right?
Yep, we do.
Okay. You will find a variety of links and resources, chat with admissions team from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday in the booth area.
Mhm.
Thank you and have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one, okay?
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.